in. These cases are heavy. Be sure you get some help handling them, especially when you lay down the tall one with all the tubes in it. These bags contain the various nets. The short container contains all the fittings that hold the pipes together. And you want to start by kind of roughly laying these out according to the drawing. These are the center sidewalls oriented like that. The peak. Corners. These are feet. There'll be a foot at every corner and on the center sides. These are tube joiners. All right, we have a foot, a corner, a joiner for the leg. We have a joiner, a center peak, a joiner, a corner, and an adjoiner for the 10-foot leg. This is a 20 wide by 20 long by 10-foot high canopy with a peak that we're building. And we've got all of our hardware laid out in approximately the locations where it's going to go. And now we're going to put all the tubes in place. Now we have all of our tubes laid out and all of our fittings laid out in their approximate positions. The leg tubes are laying here side by side. The necks at each corner poking out at a 45-degree angle. So the next procedure is to join all of the 5-foot tubes into 10-foot sections with the exception of the leg tubes. These fasteners don't have to be overly tight. Just turn the eye bolt until it seats out on the tube, and then maybe no more than a quarter of a turn. I would describe that as a good, hard snug. Tubing is carefully deburred to prevent any accidental cuts. Gloves should probably be worn. Anyways, so the next step is to put the frame together, and we want to start from one end at a peak and build the enclosure from one end to the other. The corners can be a little bit confusing. There's a 12-degree angle here. That angle faces the end of the tent. Okay, we've assembled it from the gable end on the side of the building all the way to the one near the camera here. And this part, the top is complete. Now we're going to put the feet on one of the poles for each vertical leg of the safety enclosure. All of these feet have pads on the bottom so they won't mar a floor. We're going to take the ball bungees and try not to pull on the net too hard and connect the net to the corner so it's not connected to any eyelets. And do this at every joiner piece first. We've done the corners first. Now we're going to do the gable ends and the side middles. And this gets our net stretched out evenly. After you get all the corners and the gable ends done, and the centers, then you can go back and do one at each pipe coupling. Now we're going to put a bungee in between all of our existing bungees. Or actually, we're going to put 2 bungees in between all of our existing bungees. So we have a bungee about every 18 inches. So now our top is up here, all spread out evenly, and we're not pulling too hard in any one place. And look, we got a bungee here that's not around the net. Let's fix that. And we don't have any openings large enough for an ordinary model to escape. If you're concerned about the spacing here, just use more bungees. Now we're going to do the gable ends, and remember, that's the ones with the green ties. Oh, go ahead. My assistant here is going to feed that out of the bag. I'm holding the bag for him.
We need to feed that so we find the other corner.
Okay, here's your other corner.
That way we don't get that stuff later.
Now the side nets are sized with a little bit of overlap. And I'm going to use the same bungee on the top that we're using for I'm going to use the same bungee for the corner of each side as I'm using on the top here. Now I want to find the middle. This is approximately the middle. We'll capture this with these bungees as well. Yep, go to the middle first. I'm going to go to the middle here, between the 2 bungees I already have, and secure that one. We may end up with 3 squares hanging off of each end to get this snug. So now we have a completed gable end with our excess net laying on the ground in a straight line. We're going to repeat all the same procedures for the other gable end. We've now completed the second gable end. So both ends are up, and now we're going to do the faces here, the straight faces. And remember, these are the ones with the blue ties. And these are a different dimension because they don't have material for the height of the gable on them. So now we have one side done. We'll complete the other side off camera, same procedure. All right, we're going to assemble the union on each of the lower leg sections and place them on the inside of the safety enclosure. Put the lower leg legs on, this particular unit is going to be 10 feet tall. So we need to put the side bungees on down to at least here so that we can finish the rest up on top. Be careful not to get this so tight that the legs are drawn in by the bungees holding the nets. Remember, it doesn't have to be tight. My two assistants are going to the inside. This is another team lift. We're going to lift it from the inside so we're less likely to step on the net as we raise it up. And we're going to raise it up and install the lower legs, and this will get us up to our full height. All right, remember to place your eyelets to the inside. Make sure your eyelets are enough, Dave. Your eyelets are enough, Dave? All right, 1, 2, 3, here we go. All right, Dave. There we go. 1, 2, 3. I'll help you, don't struggle. Perfect. What my assistant Dave is doing now is attaching the gable end down the side of the pole. But this is going to be our door. So he's not attaching this to the pole. Need one more. Go too high. Oh, you gotta get this. So how we're going to secure our door is just to pull it over the balls here on the ball bungees. And so our door is secure now. This we want to be our door, and these bungees are rather loose, but we need some really tight bungees here, not tight pulling on the net, but tight gripping the pole in order to form a hook for our doors. And stretch it all the way around twice, and then turn the ball so it's facing out away from the door, and now we have a nice tight ball to catch the net on. So we'll do that on all of these up to head height. So now we have our completed assembly, and what secures the safety enclosure on the bottom is just the excess net laying on the ground. No little quadcopter should get through that. I recommend that you secure the area around it a couple of feet away so that people don't get struck by quadcopters hitting the side. To stow the net back in the bag, just leave it laying out in a line. Grab one corner with the color-coded tie and feed it in. Just like so. And the last thing you will come to is the colored tie in the opposite corner. And we will leave that on the exterior of the bag. Go ahead. So that we always have the beginning of the extraction secure and on the outside. So we've tore down the unit in the reverse order of assembly, and the first net that went on was the roof, and it's going to be the last net to come off. And as we've taken the sidewalls off, we've left one bungee in each of the four corners. We don't want to get two nets on the ground at the same time and tangled and mixed up, so this will help keep it more organized. You remove the net from the top just by pulling it over, being careful not to snag it on anything. We'll load the top in the bag using the same method. Okay, we've got our parts roughly organized. We have our tubes, we have our feet, we have our joiner tubes, and all of our welded fitments. First thing we're going to do is get all of the long tubes in the long storage container. Alright, this is heavy. We're going to lift it together and let the tubes slide easily to the bottom of the container. So we're going to put the joiners on the short tube. Okay. And then try to stack everything in here as carefully as possible. Good to squeeze the air out. Two nets will fit in the small container. The bungees and the balance of the nets will fit in the tall container. All done and secure, ready to be stored or transported.